Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Today we have another fun, exotic German car in the shop. A 1984 Porsche 928S. It's a V8, 84,000 miles. This thing's pretty cool. It's got the frog headlamps. That's actually one of the customer complaints. He turns on his headlights, they come up, but they don't turn on. Someone's already been here. The previous owner installed a toggle switch for the headlights, so I guess, you know, the filaments work. But he wants it back to stock, so we're gonna have to figure out that mess, which is a giant fuse and relay box. Also, he said the rear brakes are dragging, so I got those torn apart. Just some seized pistons, no big deal. We'll get those moving again, and then just a couple other small things. He said the coolant low warning is on. Topped off the coolant, that disappeared, so that was pretty easy. And we'll take this thing for a spin and see how it performs. So headlights, and then he said his rear tailgate or trunk lid doesn't really latch very well. So he said you can just, the latch doesn't hold. So we'll figure that out too. Already got a new battery. The old battery was completely spanked at a shorted cell. And then he said that sometimes he has to jump start the car. Now the car sits for a while, so I actually measured the parasitic draw. On this car, it's, you know, there are no computers. Well, there is an engine computer, but nothing that stays awake. So you can just pop off the battery cable, measure your draw. Let's go to amps. And that's it, 12 milliamps. That's a steady state. So old cars, I love how quick and easy it is to measure for parasitic draw. There's no big draw, but if it sits for a month or more, I told him just disconnect your battery, because these things are big, they're expensive. Might as well just, you know, save on battery life. So that's what we got going on. Let's free up the brakes and figure out these headlights. Alright, so I got the caliper off the right rear wheel, and with the caliper off it turns very smoothly. So it's kind of a funky multi-piece design, and the piston is right here, and inside we see a significant amount of rust. There it is. So what I like to do is just pump the pedal, get the piston out, then lift up the boot, blow out all the junk, and just spray some WD-40 in there and kind of work the piston back and forth. Usually that frees them up pretty well, and then we'll put some silicone grease around the boot to prevent any moisture from getting by the boot to prevent further corrosion. Alright, so I just used pliers to push the piston back in. It went in very nicely. It's not seizing at all. So let me extract it again, put some silicone paste around the boot, and we'll put this wheel back together. Alright, caliper's all nice and greased up. Retracts nicely. Slap this thing back together. So this is kind of a funky caliper design. I think I got it wrong already. That goes there. Goes like that. And then this bracket Alright, I got the silly caliper back together. So this is how it works. Basically this bracket with the piston slides in the fixed bracket here, and the pads, well, you just simply insert them like so. And this one's over here. The pads are so new that it's a little tight. There we go. That's better. So that this pad first, this pad second. Keep that in mind for the other side. Now we have this springy thing. Sits in here, presses the pads in, and then these two rods, almost like a Toyota pickup truck. Alright, let me finish putting that back together. It even has a brake pad wear sensor. I don't want to forget to install. That goes in here. It's supposed to have some sort of clip. Well, it was kind of silicone in there before I got here. Bingo. That's about it. Pretty sweet. Alright, now this wheel is freed up. This wheel is stuck solid, so we gotta do the same procedure on this side. Alright, we got this wheel spinning. Sweet. Now let's get to the fun part. Headlights. Let's see. Ooh, cool. That's amazing. Alright, part two of the Porsche. This is the fun part. The headlights. So when you turn the switch to on, the headlights come up, but they don't light up. Wiring diagrams. Only OE diagrams are available for this car. And they are the most complicated, convoluted diagrams I have ever seen on any car that I've ever worked on. I had to print out like 8 pages of diagrams, and to trace a circuit, it literally takes hours. I've been at this about 4 hours, including printing diagrams, research, trying to trace circuits, and I think I finally got a grasp of this headlight system. It is insane. So, see if you can follow along here. We'll, where do we start? Well, there's the light switch. It has 2 positions, parking lights and headlights. Okay? Then we have the dimmer switch. So the middle is low beam, then you pull its headlight flasher and you push it away, high beam. Okay. So, first, the red is positive feeds. So we have a positive feed coming in, and you see every terminal is labeled like A2. These diagrams, first they have, A through K on the top, and then 1 through whatever, 24 on the side. So for example, this little quadrant is D11. But A2, you have to go to the main massive relay fuse box diagram, and they have actual connectors A, B, C, D, all the way through Z on this, assembly. So you have to go to A3 right there, and you see right there it says K11. It comes from K11, and the abbreviations inside the box, you have a plug connection, you have relays, you have fuses. AB is fuse outlet, ZU is fuse inlet. If you're outside of the diagram, then you go to the section. Like E2 will be quadrant E2. Insane. I mean, this stuff is so hard to follow. So let's go to A3. You see, it comes from K11, okay. And then it says SIZU6. So fuse input on fuse number 6. There's fuse number 6. You see, it comes from A3. And it says windshield wipers. I think that goes to C1. This goes to relay X, or whatever, 13, circuit 15. So you can get lost so fast in these diagrams, so you have to take notes and have an assortment of colored pencils, markers, whatever. So for the headlights, you know, what commands these headlights to pop up and then turn on? So you turn the switch to position number 2, and you see circuit X is the accessory circuit from the ignition switch. So you have power on this pin right here. You flip the switch to here, then you get power on circuit 56 right there. And that goes to B5, and then it goes to the dimmer switch, and then it goes to either low beam or high beam. So, you know, first let's trace the low beam circuit. So coming here, connects to there, B56, and that goes down here, here, to front fog lamp switch. Okay, that makes sense. Then it comes back on this one, connects to here, then it goes to B7. Okay, so where does B7 go? So B7 comes from C11, yes. Input to fuse number 3. Fuse number 3 is license plate light, additional, or yeah, basically all your other lights, and then it connects to here, instrument light, ashtray light. Okay? Also, we have B5. So where does B5 go? B5 goes to relay 5, 6, 7, circuit 56. So you go here, relay 7, circuit 56. This is for an additional headlight cleaner system. This thing's ridiculous. It has like a separate bug spray system. But what it took me a couple hours to figure out is, hey, it comes in here, and it also branches off to N7. And N7, see, there's the relay pin, and then it goes to another relay on circuit 56. Okay, and what's this other relay? It is the combination light relay with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pins. What the heck? I had to print out a zoomed in diagram of this relay and go to town and see what works, what doesn't work. It's all test light checks, but you have to take notes. So if you remember, this circuit, N7, it goes, you know, when you power up the headlights and switch position 2, it feeds circuit 56 on this relay. So that's right here, circuit 56, and it goes to this little smart transistor assembly that then in turn has to raise the motor. So raising the motor, where do we have our motor? On this page, here's our concealed headlight motor. There's the power feed to it. And then we have 3 pins. So this is like a contactor plate. It spins one way. So basically if it turns halfway, you see this wire is always touching. This one is not touching right now, but it will touch when it's opposite. And this one is touching right now, and it won't touch when this thing turns 180 degrees. So this is default closed position. So basically, when you want to open the headlights, you turn your switch to position 2. This gets energized, pin N7 or circuit 56, sends power here. Now, there are 3 built-in relays into this fancy assembly, and I labeled them. This is lights on or off. This one is motor power, to lift or lower the headlights, and this one is low beam and high beam. Okay? So to lift and lower the headlights, you can see this relay is not controlled by the little transistor assembly. It is controlled by this wire right here, N6, and then when this switches, you send power to the motor. Okay, that makes sense. We're sending power to the motor, and here's pin N6. That's the one that's in the middle. And you see diodes right here. So these are like open and close commands. If you have an open command, this is lit up, and this thing turns until the interrupter cuts the power to pin 86, which will de-energize this relay, so the motor will stop turning and your headlights will stop in whatever position you command them to. So the open command comes from, if your switch is in the on position, your ignition key's on, the headlights will open, and the closed command comes from this little transistor. So pin N8 right here, N8, close from relay. So let me show you on the car how it's designed to work. So here's the massive relay right here. I have it kind of halfway stuffed in here. And with the key on, I turn the switch on, the headlights pop open. Now when you turn the switch to position 1, the headlights stay open, and when you turn it to 0, then they close. Position 1, position 2, position 1, position 0. So the close command actually comes from the relay when you energize circuit X. Or, well, let's take another look at the diagram. Actually, for the close command, if your ignition key is still on, you can see in position 0, we have constant power coming in here, and then it sends voltage on 30B, circuit 30B, to B6 on the main fuse box. And B6, let's see here, B6 goes to that relay on circuit 30B. So 30B, let's see here, this one right here is hot when the switch is off. That's the close lights command. Just crazy stuff. And this is your accessory power, so when your ignition key's off, it won't do anything with the headlights. Anyways, everything works. Even, this relay clicks in here when you switch low beam to high beam, but the lights do not come on. I checked all the main power feeds, the main ground, so the lights are supposed to come on when this internal relay is energized by this smart transistor. That's not happening. So we don't get power internally here out of pins A56 or B56, even though this relay is clicking just fine. So just from the symptoms and just from the diagram, I don't hear a click from this internal relay. This transistor, for some reason, it's not turning on the lights when everything is proper. You know, when you have hot in position 2, so this is actually command this way. So draw arrows whichever way the voltage is going. This is coming from the car to, you know, open the lights, and it's supposed to tell this little transistor, hey, switch on this relay. Now, what other inputs does this transistor need? Well, obviously it needs ignition power, yes. It needs headlights open command, headlights on command. We have that. But it's not clicking this relay. So you can see how many variables there are and how hard it is to follow these wiring diagrams. I'm going to keep working at it until I'm 100% sure that this is the problem. Now, if this relay assembly is faulty, what are the options? Either get a new one somewhere, which might not be possible for this 84 vintage Porsche, or can we externally, if everything else works, we want to leave this alone, but externally, can we wire up a relay to power up this circuit in here somehow? Now it's internal, so it might be hard to power this up, but all we need is headlights on input and constant power, and just click that relay to send power to here. Okay? So if this doesn't work, you know, these terminals are accessible. We can ground it out. We don't need the smart transistor to turn on the lights after they're raised. We can just turn them on and they'll raise, you know, while they're on. That doesn't matter. But this right here, the feed to the high-low beam relay, that might be tricky. I don't know if I'm going to have to take this thing apart.